Bets, if you'll do our pledge, our prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up. Clerk, if you'll do our roll call.
Yes, sir. Town of Vidalia, Board of Aldermen roll call for a special meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen dated August 20th, 2019. Alderman Betts.
Present.
Alderman Doré.
Present.
Alderman Gardner. Alderman Gardner is noted to be absent at this time. Alderman McCoy. Alderman McCoy noted to be absent at this time. Alderman Probst.
Here.
Mayor, let the record show that a quorum of the board is present.
Okay, we're having a special meeting tonight, and the first thing on our agenda is determine and fixing of the amount of rebate to be distributed to the retail utility customers of the town of Vidalia, Louisiana. And what I'd like to do is just go ahead and just jump right into, if y'all got a packet, if you will. It's on the board. If you don't have it, it's on the screen. And we'll just read through this kind of quickly, and we'll go through, how this was determined. And also, it's following the ordinance number 588. It follows it down the line with what those amounts are. So, number one, you'll see up there the total royalties for 18-19 were $12,771,132. The participation cost, what that is we're under requirement to buy 6% of the hydroelectric electric generation. And that amount totaled $9,122,760. Number two, in section 1 of the ordinance, required the satisfaction of any debt requirements that had been used with hydro monies to fund a capital project. In the past, they held this complex out of that, and they used to pay the note out of that amount, which our council decided, and I agree, that this was something that never was really approved to use those hydro funds, and therefore we removed that and have been handling that out of the general fund and not coming into the calculation of the royalty payment available. So, and then on number 3, which requires the reserve amount, right now, this year the reserve was required to be around 1.9 million, and we kept it and maintained it at an amount above that, which is 2.3. So that's an above the amount, and that's good to have that money in reserve available if we ever have to buy power. That's what that's for. In the event we were not to get paid by the hydro, we're still under the gun. We have to buy that power, and we feel like we're in pretty good shape. We could bump that up a little bit this next year to really take care of a full 3 months. If we had to, we could buy our full power requirement if we had around 2.9 million in it. So. And then you'll see number 4 is a transfer that goes into the utility account, which is a 38 mills calculation. And if you'll look on your next page that you've got behind there, it's got a breakdown by month of how we got that 38 mills and how that money is broken down. And you'll see that amount that we transfer from the Hydro Royalty Fund to our utility account are those amounts in the far right column. And it's got July all the way through June of 2019, and you'll see those amounts. And if anybody wants an explanation of these calculations, I'll be glad to give those to you either during the meeting or afterwards. I have no problem with spending as much time as we need to let you see what that is. And so then you get to, if you go on to number 5, the rebate amount, we have not set that amount yet. And the other items, there's nothing on there because we did not use any of the other funds out of this fund. So, with that being said, the total revenue available for the 2018-19 rebate is $1,590,603. And of course, 1/2 of that amount is available for a rebate upon approval by the governing body to rebate that to our retail customers of the town of Vidalia. And right now, that amount stands at, we can rebate half of that, which is just under 800,000, 790 something thousand. So 795,000 and some change. So that's the amount available. If it's the council's wish, and I hope it is, to rebate that full amount to our retail customers, I hope that we can do that tonight, and we'll discuss it anymore. Now, that's the calculation. That's it. And you'll also see you have a sheet in there that has the past 2 years calculations. And if there's any questions on any of this, I'll be glad to take those if anyone's got a question. Yes, sir.
What was the starting figures, the only thing that I didn't ask for from Jay, and he gave me all these others, but the starting figure, how did you calculate that? The report last week at the regular board meeting showed what was budgeted originally, what was amended on the budget, and then what the actual was. And none of those numbers matched that number.
Okay, I can explain that very easily. Well, okay, back when we first got in office, okay, there was no money to rebate. There was nothing to give. Matter of fact, you know what we went through. We had to borrow money to actually pay bills, and also so there was no way to figure and calculate a rebate. And we all know that the rebate in the past was sporadic. It seemed to be, if you got one at all, it was real sporadic. There was no order to it. There was no meetings. There was no consideration of any of those rebates. And Ray, what we did is after we got in that first year, we said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to establish a time frame where we can do that. Now, our county is on accrual basis. It's not cash. However, but dealing with the hydro rebate, we do use the cash amount that we receive to figure that rebate amount that will go into the customer's thing, and we can forecast that into a budget way better than trying to figure out an accrual basis type calculation on what we can rebate. So we had a starting point. You had to start, since there was no precedent set for us when you would calculate your rebate, we set a date. We set a date, and that's what we've worked from and on setting this amount. And that's what we've moved forward to. And that's what we've gone with. With those 12 months that you'll see on there, that's the months that we use, is what we received actually for those times that we figured this into. And, you know, it's right. I mean, and going forward, I hope that anybody in the future, whoever is going to be sitting in this chair and the council going forward, they will keep that pretty much in place, because that way you're dealing with a consistent time frame that you're looking at of a full year of hydro availability for rebate and royalty payment.
Well, you still didn't answer the question. This chart does show June of 19 is included in that fiscal period that you've done your calculation. This number is roughly $580,000 different than the actual reported last week. Now, I did make a copy of that page if it was, so you can look at what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about the gross revenue? Are you talking about what was amended in the budget for last year, Ray?
I'm talking about the hydro fund, the hydro royalty fund, which Deborah's report shows hydro royalty for the 2019 budget, also for the amended budget, and then also for the year-to-date. And the amended budget and the year-to-date are much higher than that number there. They're in the 13 million range.
Okay.
So I just don't
Ray,
understand.
let me explain. Okay, our budget for this year is higher. You know why? Because in January, the percentage is going to go up even more. So it's going to be higher on our projected budget next year. It's an estimate. Next year, that budget, that amount, that royalty interest rate's going to
I'm
go.
not talking about this year, I'm talking about.
Well, you said this year's budget, current budget.
Did you say you had a piece of paper that you're referring to?
I got a copy.
I'd like to see it. Can I see what you're
Sure,
talking about?
I mean,
The books are on the
Yeah.
accrual basis, and that's why it's not
Well,
really
that's
the
what I
same
tried to
as what's
explain.
on the sheet, because we
Go
use
ahead,
the
Deborah.
cash basis for the royalties, and that's what's up there is the actual amount of cash that we receive during the year. Accrual is different than cash.
Are you suggesting that we haven't received all of it?
That's correct, because we won't get, the next payment comes in August, but that accrual is that you're matching your revenues up with your expenses, and it's not cash. It's not when you actually get the
So
cash.
this $500,000 will be in the current
August.
year.
And, yeah, it'll be, the accrual, but we won't get that money until November, right?
Right.
November 1st.
Let me give you
All
my
of it.
numbers and that.
Well, you can give
I know.
them, you can give them Sabrina. She wants to see your numbers. I mean, I've got a clear understanding of exactly what we've got here and where we started with. I know exactly where we stand, and we've got a year, and where we started from, Ray, back in 2017, 18. We started on a certain time, how we calculated this and how we did it, and that's what we're gonna stay with. Now, I'll be glad, you know,
Well, now, you've got in this chart 3 years, and that's how many years this administration, other than the last 2 months of the 4th year. And you've got a calculation for each of those years. But what I'm talking about is base your rebate on the numbers from the previous year, which would be ending June 30th, 2019. None of the numbers on any of the report that y'all provided, including the one last week, arrive at this number. So I'm asking you, how did you arrive at that number?
Deborah,
We took the actual cash that we got. We got 4 royalty payments during the year, and they totaled up to be 12,700,000, whatever that number is, 771,132. That's the actual dollars that we got through wiring that money in. It's the cash. Accrual is where you're accruing for the month of June, but we won't get that money until
You just calculated the amount you should receive.
That's exactly right.
and that's, Ray,
accrual.
when we started, for example, what we got through June the 30th, you know, when we made our budget, we didn't know what that was gonna be. We won't receive those money until August. Well, see, next year, we took the previous year's monies that we received in August into this calculation. You see what I'm saying? It was the cash we received in a fiscal year. The accrual, we haven't received, I mean, we have received it now. You know, it was a very large, and that's gonna go on next year's, because we didn't actually have the money in hand. We want the money in hand, and that's what we're setting our rebate from. And what we're including is the last 3 months of the previous fiscal year's money that we received in August 1 of last year. Did you follow me what I'm saying? I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm following what you're saying there.
and that's what we need to do going forward. That way we can keep it concise on monthly things. I mean, and I think we've got a clear break on that.
Well,
And,
what I'm suggesting to you is, no matter how you handled it, what you reported is what I understood.
Mhm.
And it's either in that last month's report.
Right.
And so, you know, in wondering how much rebate is gonna be available, there's a differential of over $500,000. Are we behind $500,000 as far as receipts?
Absolutely not. We're not behind anything, Ray.
This is proper accounting, is what your books are. What my books are proper accounting. The auditors will come and they'll audit those numbers. They'll be the result of their audit. We're trying to give you, the people and the aldermen, the books the way they're supposed to be presented. Now, cash is not acceptable for governmental accounting. It's not the way you account for your books. But this is
somewhere
fine.
it's gotta be accounted for. If you're owed money, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's on the
Maybe
books as a receivable. Yeah, it's on the books as a
Is
receivable.
that amount equal to the difference in the the amount that you may have received?
Yeah, you can take
after-
the beginning and ending balances of your receivables and add it to what you actually got, that number up there, and that'll give you what's on the books.
Ray, let me simply put, how we calculate the rebate has nothing to do with accounting and us being in compliance with anything, how we do that. As long as we're in compliance with how we do our accounting on everything else that's required on handling these funds, that's required. We made a conscious decision to do this on a cash basis when we started, when we said, hey, we need to give the people, start giving them their rebate when they're supposed to, when we can, and that's where we had that starting date, and we've kept that going forward. It's not that we're violating anything, we're not behind anything, that's cash in hand. By the way, you said, or do we have the money? Right now, sitting in Hydro CDs, which includes the reserve, now we got over $6.4 million, so yeah, we got enough money.
You know, you're throwing more numbers at me. All I'm asking you is the amount of money that you may have received in this year that's supposed to be applied to this year, it might be the answer to the differential. How much money is it?
We got a check, our last royalty check that we received August 1 was $4.5 million.
Well, way more than what you reported. I mean, when you report, make a financial report, it ought to be understandable. And if you report last week this, and then this week you're reporting a number that's, well under that. Now, the amount of money that you received, you also got to deduct the things that you deducted at various stages. So the differential is what I'm saying. This calculated amount is roughly $580,000 difference.
Not the way we calculate, Ray, it's right on the number. Where it's not out of balance. The monies that we received for that last quarter of 2017-18 is going to be on next year's calculation. That 4.5 million is going to be on next year's calculation for the royalty.
I understand.
Okay, then everything else is correct. It's exactly right.
Well, you're saying it's right and showing it's right, two different things. I just asked a simple
Well,
question.
I mean-
You've got different numbers, and I'd like to know why is the number different? You explained your procedure very well. I understand all that. What I don't know is what amount of what you have received, that you received as a royalty for the past fiscal period, minus all those things, is it that amount of deduction?
It's those amounts right there, what you see up there.
What the hydro pays to the town is paid quarterly. So they only get a check once a quarter. Our fiscal year is different from the quarterly payments. And I think, okay. So from what I understand, and is the quarter the true calendar quarter?
No.
It's not the true-
The true calendar quarter is June, the calendar.
Right, is the hydro payment, is it made on the true quarterly? It is not
Like
made,
June 30th was made August the 1st.
okay.
It's
So
paid-
August the first is the starting period for this last payment, which would be a factor.
Ray,
Next
can I explain? And this,
I understand that.
well, and here's why we did it that way. The aldermen in the past wanted to know, when we made our budget, hey, we want to go ahead and budget that royalty amount, which we did. We were off a little bit because we didn't know what that final generation was going to be, whatever. But make a long story short is, so us to budget it, that when we started doing this, we said, well, we do know what we received on, let's say, March and April, okay? So we knew what those numbers were, so that's how we were trying to estimate our budget, so we could go ahead and budget for it and have it. This has been budgeted all the way up to, but, I think what we thought we was gonna get at the time is about 50,000 more. I said 750,000, it come in at 795. So we were all, but that was because of, the river's been up over 200 days and they generated way more than what they anticipated.
Okay, the differential there is from what you expected versus what you calculated is more than 4 or 5%. Does that require a budget amendment?
What, the 50,000 on a special?
If you should choose to give 50%, whatever calculated out.
Oh, I hadn't run that number on it, but if it does, I mean, we'll just have to amend our budget on that special revenue fund. That's a good problem to have. Look, we got money, we got way more money, so that's a good problem to have, so.
Well, I'm just.
No, I don't mind the questions, I just,
I'd like to know what the number is.
okay, and you have every right to ask those, and I want to explain it to you, but, yeah.
It does seem strange, though, that your financial reports would reflect one way of doing accounting, and yet your calculation of a specific fund is another way of accounting.
Well, I think we explained our reasons, and I think we've got a good system in place for any future administrations to handling this, that I hope everybody from the future of all the mayors going forward will have these meetings. And the reason why we want to call a special meeting, because we want to put this money into people's hands as quick as possible. We want to do that, because this is by far the largest rebates ever been paid to the people. I mean, we want to get it in their hands, and we can start on and doing the things we need to do to try to get it in their hands by late October, November, 1st of November. So, and this takes a lot of work in dealing with a lot of things to do that. So
Well, it looks like we're headed for a good start for the next.
Absolutely, it's gonna be great.
We're 580, you know, whatever that, over, we're 580 ahead.
Right, it's very good.
I have just a quick question, just so that I can understand it. In this paperwork where we're showing the monthly LEPA build, millage, and hydro fund transfer, so this is the one I'm looking at. What factor does Unit 1 play in this? What factor does Unit 1 play in this calculation?
It's in the calculation of our power cost.
So the allowable hydro royalty transfer amount includes the Unit 1 factor?
Yes, it does. Because it is a part of our generation, I mean, as far as our cost, it's an agreement that was made. And again, we all know that was prior to us, that, you know, that was in it, it's become part of it because there's benefits in there as far as peak demand charges and demand charges. By us being belonging to that, you do receive some benefits, so it's calculated into that calculation, yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions from out in the?
I do have one question about your procedure though. In the case of last year, there was a negative return in this deal. Do you carry that forward? You know, so that this year's numbers may be affected by the fact that you didn't have, or you had a negative.
No, that's not, we don't, no, we don't.
Each year is.
Each stand on its own, yes.
And it's only based on probably a couple months in advance, I mean, your calendar period for that accounting method. It's going to be, if we talk about it in August, for instance, next year, then one quarter of it will probably likely be in the following year.
Okay.
In the 17-18 year, we did give a rebate to the citizens, but none of the council members suggested anything to do with the town share. What happened to the town share?
Well, if you'll remember, we did everything that we were supposed to up to the point we removed the debt satisfaction. And during that time, we did, y'all remember, it was tight. We were still trying to collect money. And if y'all will look at, y'all have all got a copy of the ordinance. If you'll read number 6, which is, after you've satisfied those other things, I'll read it to you. The transfer to the town's general fund of an amount necessary to offset any deficits incurred in the operations and maintenance of all non-utility municipal services. And we did run short. I mean, we had to get, use that and be very, very, we was very frugal with it. And it was something that, we had to do. I mean, to make payroll, didn't we even, payroll at times? I mean, you can't write, we're not against writing NSF checks, and we did go into that because we had satisfied all the previous requirements.
Okay, so at this meeting, are we able to go ahead and lay out what the aldermen wish to do with the town share?
Well, that's what we're gonna get to after we come up with how much y'all wanna rebate.
Okay.
Which I'm for us giving the full,
0.5%, half of it.
the full, amount to our people.
So is that done by vote? Do we need to make a motion?
do
I
that?
would like a motion that
I'll
we
make a
do rebate.
I'll make a motion that
And
we, of the revenue that's available for rebate, that half be rebated back to the retail customer.
Second.
Second, motion made by Alderman Bennett, second by Alderman Doré. Any questions from the other aldermen? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, the second part on our agenda,
Last time when we voted on, is this gonna be distributed by checks or credited to the accounts? That was one thing too that they wanted to know.
say that again, I couldn't hear you.
Rebates to be distributed by
Clip.
checks or credited to accounts?
I think we should do it by check.
How much did it cost to do it by check last time?
I can't remember, was it?
Well,
Was it?
we had a lot of computer expense too, because we had to get Mr. Porter to do some, some.
Go ahead, Bill.
computer work, and I think it was about $4,000 or $5,000. But we
I
didn't
know
have
that
that.
the majority of what we heard from the customers.
They want to check.
Okay, so
Big
what
majority.
was, you said it was at a cost of about $4,000?
Yeah.
And is that $4,000 held out of the town's half or the people's half?
Well, it was supposed to have been, none of it was held out of people's.
Okay.
For sure.
That's all, I mean, that's really all I care about.
But it, you
And
know,
it
they-
shouldn't
That'll be an
that much
expense.
this time because
Yeah.
he's got the program set up. now,
Okay.
So,
It just takes checks and,
The only people who won't get a check are those who have a bill.
That have an
They have
outstanding.
an outstanding
yeah.
balance, they'll get that, and they get a balance.
And I remember us talking about that. It had to be late by so many days before it would be
yeah.
absorbed. Do you,
That's true.
is that still in effect? How many
Yeah,
days is
all
that?
All that will be in effect, and I think there was, we talked about today, how much was, we had checks that were left outstanding, and those have already been turned over to the state as required by law. It's about 5,000?
seven.
How much?
About 7,
7,000, excuse me.
That people never cashed their checks, and that was turned over to the state.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will be.
And we exhausted everything we can. We let the state advertise and put their name on, in the paper and try to report that.
I'll make the motion that it be delivered by check.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made, okay, we'll do that. It should be a point of order for us to do
I
that,
think that's a
so.
good idea.
No,
Well, when you take the question, to what extent does our power cost adjustment affect these calculations? It would seem that we're still having to pay the adjustment amount as far as the town is concerned, and therefore fall in the line that is what it costs to participate, right?
I didn't quite understand your question, Ray. You might have to ask that one more time, because I didn't.
The amount of money that is represented by that 1.635 or whatever that amount of adjustment that was made on bills from the citizens,
Mhm.
the accumulated total, it is actually still an expense to the town as far as cost of participation in the program.
Well, if we gave the people a 1.6%, yeah, we still had to pay for the power. The customers got the break.
Well, I realize we got the break in terms of our individual bills.
Right.
And my question was, since the town still pays it, it's in this calculation of the participation.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Whatever you paid, what's going to happen is it's going to take a whole block of all the commercial, not industrial, but commercial, churches, residential. There's a kilowatt number of kilowatts billed. And I think it's going to be, the whole town, we build out 91 million kilowatts. Well, that's got industrial load in it, some big loads from some of the industrials. We back that out and we take that amount based on those other, and it's divided out to have a cost per kilowatt. And those individual homes that had, it'll be, whatever your percentage of that, and the whole thing will be what your rebate's based off of. For example, if you had a high bill, you can wind up getting a pretty good check. The lower users, or the ones that don't pay a whole lot, their rebate won't be as big.
Well, in effect, we would be getting money, maybe $1 here or $2 here or whatever, because of that 1.6 cents received per kilowatt hour.
No, has nothing to do with it. Ray, we still have to buy the power to give to you. We just saved you paying buying that power.
Not following my question, though.
Okay, I don't.
You have saved us by doing that 1.635, am I correct?
I think that's,
Cents
I
per
think so,
kilowatt
I
hour.
think so.
Therefore, we're not paying that, and it's a benefit to us.
Right.
Individually. But yet, it's gonna affect the cost, because the town still pays it, am I correct?
That doesn't have anything to do with, we're going to pay for whatever you use regardless. It don't affect that rate at all. There's no,
But if it's in the calculation, it is.
He's asking, aren't you asking about, what are you asking about? What calculation? What part of the calculation?
All right, this calculation has a cost of participation in it, which is basically what we have to pay in. we have to pay them is also involving the power cost adjustment figure that he has.
That's correct.
Okay,
And that's what he said earlier.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go to item number 2. Okay, and number 2 is setting of dates for 2 public hearings to discuss proposed projects and to receive public input concerning possible alternative uses of surplus revenues. The amount left over from our previous that we were talking about is around $286,000. When you add to that other, there's going to be a little over $1 million available for some possible projects, which it says capital projects and so forth. I want to challenge the aldermen and also our residents, if there's something that you know of as far as a project's concerned, that we will be glad to entertain those things. And what we'll do is when we have those public hearings, we'll make those known to our residents, and we'll discuss them and see what we feel like is a need, or what something we feel like we should, try to do with these funds. I do want to say this, is that as a town, I feel like as a municipality, our primary responsibility is to deliver you good clean water, provide you stable electricity with good service, and all those other services we provide, okay? And if there's something, infrastructure-wise, that if we don't fix that we're fixing to do based on the flood and some overlay of some streets, which has nothing to do with those funds, we're going to fix those. Then I feel like if there's something lacking in some of these other things, before we do something that's a feel-good thing, that we should make sure that, for example, somebody that don't have water they can drink, having an extra ball field or, is not as important to them as their toilet flushing and got everything going where it's supposed to go and all those sort of things. So that's the only thing I want to do is keep in mind some of those things that I want to make sure that we are being good stewards of, making sure we take care of what we need to do, our primary source, and that's to make sure we give you all these services and continue those in a good way. And we've got a lot of help coming from, I see Heather showed up. She's worked very hard to get us some funds through state to do a lot of these things. And I'm open, whatever the people want to do, I want y'all to know that I'll be supportive of it, and we'll do that. I just want to say that just be mindful of that fact, that there are those things that we might need to do. And I'll give you, for example, I've got something that I would like to see us get that is basically a purchase of a piece of equipment that would solve a lot of issues in our town. And that's basically, it's a Kaiser machine. It's a spider type machine. It's on big wheels, 4-wheel drive, that can go in ditches, and our ditches all the way from, over by the RV park all the way through town. That could look like a highway through there. That thing would go in there and clean those things.
You know what I gotta say?
Yeah, go ahead. You're going to get me. I know you are.
That's right, it's a project, it's not for a piece of equipment.
It can be tied to what you're doing with it.
Right.
But it has to be able to be.
But we also have a grant that Heather was talking about for, the repair of the facilities and things like that. We have $1.25 million in the budget for street repair, because you originally asked for, I think, $650, and I asked to put another $500,000 in there. So I think streets and infrastructure are kind of taken care of with those 2 things, and I think it's about time for the people of Vidalia to get something that they've been asking for. We haven't repaired a street, we haven't done a street overlay since we've been in office, but we always collect that street tax. But, I think that within our budget that we already have, we should take care of those things, that this should be used for the things that make the people happy and make them want to be here. I don't think that we should take Hydro Royalty money and invest it in machinery or streets when we have other funds coming in to take care of that already. This should be something that is beneficial for the residents, not just.
I don't
yeah.
deny that, but I just want to keep in mind that, there's still things that could always use upgrade. And that's all I want to do is be mindful of that, because I am going to talk to our department heads to see if there's a list or something they want to put in, or something that we really need to continue us in the right way. Ricky, go ahead. What you got?
I maybe start a wish list or something that on my wish list
Okay.
for years. It's been a walking bicycle trail that would connect the riverfront to this facilities out here. I know it'd be a pretty good job getting across the highway. It could be done with the overpass or even underpass. There are several cities around the state that have such walking trails, bicycle trails. It really been beneficial and attract a lot of people.
Okay. Cassandra?
Yeah, and there used to be some Rails to Trails grants out there that probably have expired by now.
Well, we can, I can tell you what grants we've gone after, and that and Bill's tried real hard. I think Heather has. I've actually gone, me and Bill, and visited with Louisiana. And those things, they said the circles and the walkways and the parks are over with. They're through with those things, but connecting neighborhoods is, like you said, a possibility. That's something that they would be interested in. But your circle parks and things of that, they're not, they want to connect, neighborhoods and stuff, and also connect it to important parts of the city. And that's basically what he said. He said, you're gonna be wasting your time if you wanna just do a circle walk or something like that, so. Cassandra?
I would like to see something for the children,
Okay.
some type of recreational. I'm tired of looking at the children playing in the streets, and that's all over with it.
Mhm.
It needs to be some type of recreational stuff. And I know if you say playground, you're gonna tell me where the school got stuff, but it's locked up at 3 o'clock, and it's locked up during the holiday season. We need open space where our children can go and play and be safe.
And that's number one on my wish list. I'll go ahead and say it. Number one on my wish list is a playground with a pavilion where birthday parties can be held and a splash pad, and built in such a way that it can be expanded upon in the future. That is number one on my list.
Where we can play volleyball.
I'm not against those things at all, but I just want to say that right now, the people over there pay a recreation tax. I feel like there's something like that. I would like to see us do something at the schools that's not behind the fence, that's lit, that's covered, whatever you want to do, but do a cooperative endeavor with the school board, police jury, rec board, whatever, instead of just Vidalia being the one to shoulder the cost and the liability of it. Because y'all know, back in the day, we had playgrounds everywhere. We had them at McDonald's, we had them at Burger King, we played in them, but they were a hotbed for lawsuits because somebody's kid got hurt. It was, the insurance thing. And I'm not saying don't do them. I'm just thinking we should, rather than us shoulder all that burden and provide the land for that, is get with the schools. Because the schools is an obvious place, because you can have the kids have something for activities while they're in our schools. It'll improve those and give them up-to-date, safe equipment to play on, and us work together with them. I think we should pursue that. I'm completely for that, but I think we should be smart in where we put them, and how we put them, and how we participate in them, and rather than just the town of Vidalia taking all this liability when we could, actually do a bunch of things and provide these things for our kids, and it'll be in every district. Whether it's at the elementary school, and you do the other school, and you do the junior high, let's do 3 of them. And each one of those schools, and that'll be available to all the districts within our community.
But it needs to be available even after 3 o'clock.
Well, that's what it'll be available. You don't put a fence around it.
Put a fence around.
Don't put a fence.
The school board requires that there be a fence around it for their liability reasons. I mean, they just do. And I mean, I'll say this. The biggest liability that we have in this town is that unfenced that unfenced pond right over there. And I can't imagine that a playground, a swing set would cost more in liability expense than that unfenced pond that's right over there that there's a sign saying you can swim in. That's more of a liability than a slide to me.
Probably an alligator.
It does. Let's go over there and see.
Okay.
But-
As far as setting the date, anybody want to? Kevin, did you have something?
I was just wondering if this was the public hearing.
No. No.
No, this is what a meeting
This is-
should be like. It's everybody talking. That's what
Well-
it should be.
Well, everybody can talk as long as it's on the agenda. We got to, but y'all want to set a date? I mean, we got to look at our dates. That's what we want to do is set a date to have those 2 public hearings
We could have one.
and give people time, to put it out there.
Have
Stanley,
one on
I'm
this
sure will
agenda.
address and charge their readers with coming up with something. Let us know how they feel about it and some things they would like to see. And again, I think that, if there's enough people show up and champion a playground, whatever it is, hey, and that's what the people want, that's what we'll do.
Let me ask this question. Does the timing of the mailing out of the rebate checks have anything to do with these 2 public hearings?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. I didn't want to put off, the reason I asked that, I didn't want to put off the meeting if that was going to slow down the delivery of the checks.
We're going
If it's not,
to,
then
y'all
it's-
have approved that. We're going to start immediately on our calculator. Like I said, the quickest we can get the checks in the people's hands, that's what we want to do.
So I kind of agree with what Alderman Betts said, we could possibly have the first of the two at the next regularly scheduled meeting, and then perhaps have the secondary 2 weeks after. Don't we have to have? I'm
It's-
Or
sorry.
is it required to
Oh,
be
it can't,
separate?
it has
It's
to be
gotta be a
separate.
public
doesn't it?
meeting, it's gotta be,
These are forums, not really.
yeah, they're not.
That's
Forums.
right.
They're not
Okay.
formal board meetings.
So I
Okay.
don't
They're
agree with you anymore.
Okay, don't.
In
I
fact,
I renege my agreement with you.
in fact, I mean, it's not even, the council is requested to be here and hear what they have
Right.
and what they want, but there's no action to be taken.
Nothing we can do.
You could actually sit out there in the audience and do the same thing and, you know, deliberate what you want to do or what your ideas are. And it's going to be a forum-type atmosphere, just like anybody can stand up and talk and tell what they'd like to do, so.
This is not an official meeting?
No, this
Yes,
is.
this
Yeah,
is, but that's not.
The
Those
next two
meetings
are just public forums,
And
is
the
what he's
reason
saying.
why we didn't have, you know, you got to set how much money you're dealing with before you start talking about what you're going to do, because you can't,
Yeah.
you know,
What's
you
2
can't do
weeks?
something if you ain't got the money
2
for it,
weeks
so.
is,
That's strictly the case there,
that would
so.
be September
Oh.
3rd.
I just asked whatever date
It's holiday.
that we set the time
second
for
is a holiday.
6 o'clock if possible.
I agree, please.
Okay. That's no problem. I didn't expect this meeting to go
We don't all
45 minutes.
get
I thought
off
this
at
was a
4:30
10-minute
like
meeting,
you.
we'd be going, but, anyway. So, does anybody else got any questions? So, we'll be watching the newspapers, be watching the town's Facebook page and also our internet site, and we'll be letting you know when those public meetings are gonna be.
I thought we were gonna set them right now, we're not?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all want to set them now? Okay. Duh, I'm sorry.
For 2 weeks.
So can we have the first meeting September the 3rd, which is 2 weeks from this date?
Day after Labor Day.
Hey, everybody be well rested.
Yeah,
And can we set it for 6 o'clock?
6
Yeah.
o'clock.
Okay.
And then I think we have to have 2 weeks after that, huh? Or no?
No, it's just gotta be 2 meetings.
Just 2
Let's
meetings.
do it a week.
So the next week,
September 10th.
That's the regular board.
That's a regular.
Okay,
board.
so September 12th, the following Thursday?
Nope,
No?
I'm be out of town. I
But
won't
you
be
gotta
here.
be here for, I'm kidding, I'm
Huh?
kidding, I'm
My
sorry.
son's getting married in Portland, I'm gonna be there.
Oh, congratulations, you gotta go to that.
The next,
17th.
What's wrong with the 5th, the 3rd and the 5th?
I thought we had to have 2 weeks' notice for
No,
journal, huh?
No,
No,
just 2 meetings.
2 meetings.
Hey, that works.
They don't have to be 2 weeks apart.
Let's
just
don't
2
have them
meetings.
2 days apart.
Huh?
Let's don't have them 2
Okay,
days
that's,
apart.
I'm just saying, you don't have to have them,
Say a
as long as
week.
you have 2 meetings, that's the
if they can't
requirement.
come 1 week, they can possibly come.
Yeah, 3rd and 10th. Everybody okay with 3rd and 10th?
No, that's a council meeting.
I hate y'all.
yeah,
I
go to
mean,
the next week.
27th
I
and
say
3rd.
have it, like I said, the 3rd, then our regular meeting, and the next week, have the next meeting, and if it's sometime during that week, it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday, whenever we can set it up for the next week.
August the 27th, September 3rd.
We got September 3rd.
Do what now?
You want to
Hey.
do August and then September?
September 23rd?
You're saying go ahead and move it forward a week.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think
September,
The only thing is, we probably wouldn't be able to get that paper, the notice in the paper tomorrow for the 27th.
Has to be 2 weeks.
Gonna be too late for that
I
today.
don't care, I give up.
did y'all say September 23rd?
No.
What's he saying?
What dates did you say?
August 27th.
And September 3rd.
I said
Oh,
1 week from
oh.
today and
Oh,
1 week
okay.
following, but he said that's not gonna work because of notice.
Well, I mean, we can notice it on the website but we won't be able to get it in the, like, the Senate.
Yeah, we need it in the Sentinel, we need everybody to see it.
Pardon? I can,
We sure
send it-
can.
I can send it over this evening. Got that?
You can get it in there, Stanley?
I'll go ahead and
Do
send it
that.
over this evening.
Let's do that then.
Let's do that.
Because it's,
First one will be the 27th.
and Jay,
Right.
what we can do is look and see what we did last time and pull it and just send them, just duplicate it and put those dates in it, and then that way we go.
9,
It's 6 o'clock,
7, and,
8:20.
that works for me, that
yeah,
works for me,
So, first is
9,
August
3.
27th at 6.
okay.
6.
I don't, do we need that in the form of a motion, council?
Would be nice.
Okay.
I make the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Dory, to hear second by Alderman Gardner, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ah,
Okay.
Motion
No further-
adjourned.
Motion adjourned, second. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Give me that